The morning sky over Chicago was heavy with clouds, but inside the federal courthouse, the air was even heavier. People lined up since dawn, buzzing about the rumor everyone had been whispering. Today, the FBI's wiretap on Lil Durk was going to be played. Fans on Twitter said it was fake. Bloggers swore they had receipts, and the city itself felt like it was holding its breath. When Durk stepped out of the black SUV in a gray tailored suit, cameras flashed like fireworks. He walked, slow, head bowed, chains tucked, no smile, no swagger. The man known as the voice of the streets suddenly looked like he was walking into the lion's den. Inside, the benches were packed. Fans, reporters, even former friends sat shoulder to shoulder. Durk's mother was there, tears already brimming, clutching a small Bible in her lap. His cousin leaned against the wall, arms folded tight, jaw grinding. The prosecution looked calm, even smug, while Durk's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. And then, the words that made the whole courtroom lean forward. "Your Honor, the government is prepared to play a piece of critical audio evidence." The judge nodded. Durk's lawyer objected, but the gavel fell. Objection overruled. Proceed. The lights dimmed slightly. A small screen flickered to life. And then came the sound. A man's voice, low, deliberate, carrying the weight of authority. "I told V to slow down, but he wouldn't listen. The move was already in motion before I landed. I tried to calm it, but he was locked in." Gasps erupted like a wave crashing. Against rock, people clutched their mouths. Someone whispered, "Oh my God, that's his voice." Durk sat frozen, eyes narrowing, but his hands trembled against the table. His lawyer leaned close. "Don't react. Stay still." But the damage was done. The jury's eyes darted between the screen and the man sitting in front of them. The voice was too clear, too distinct. Too damning. In the second row, V's sister broke down in tears, sobbing into her hands. "So he knew," she cried. "He knew all along." Others shook their heads in disbelief. Even Durk's closest supporters looked rattled. A longtime friend muttered under his breath, "This ain't looking good, not at all." The judge banged the gavel to restore order, but the courtroom was alive with whispers, the kind that spread like fire. Outside the courthouse, reporters rushed to tweet, "Wiretap bombshell just dropped. Lil Durk allegedly tied to the case." The recess was called, but the drama didn't pause. In the hallway, people shouted over each other. Fans cried. Some yelled, "Free Durk!" Others screamed, "He betrayed Vaughn." Social media exploded. Within minutes, hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag dare use Wiretap, hashtag street betrayal, hashtag truth finally out. Even celebrities weighed in. One rapper tweeted, "They all talk loyalty till the feds pull receipts." Another posted a cryptic message, "The streets been new, now the world knows." When court resumed, the prosecution wasn't finished. "Your Honor, we have more." Durk shifted in his seat, sweat forming along his hairline. His lawyer raised his hand. "We request a motion to suppress," but the judge cut him off. Denied. Continue. The prosecution revealed Durk had been under surveillance for 9 months. During that time, several conversations had been recorded. One line in particular sent the courtroom into chaos. "If he folds, we all go down. You know what that means." The words were cold, decisive, leaving no room for doubt. People in the gallery gasped again. Durk's mother cried out, "No! No, not my son." The judge struck the gavel, but control was slipping. His cousin shouted from the back, "This is lies! All lies!" Marshals moved quickly, escorting him out. Durk sat stone-faced, but his fingers twitched against the table. He whispered to his lawyer, "This ain't me. They twisted it." The lawyer muttered back, "Hold steady. We'll fight it." But inside, everyone could see the cracks forming. The man who once ruled stages with confidence now looked cornered. Hunted, exposed. The internet became a war zone that afternoon. Fans replayed old interviews, dissected lyrics, and clipped live streams. He said this years ago, one fan wrote, posting an old clip of Darius rapping about loyalty. Another tweeted, so he knew everything and let Vaughn crash out. Others defended him. Out of context. This is how the feds twist our words. Instagram leaves sparked with heated debates. One former collaborator went live saying, I love Darius, but if this is real, I can't stand by him. Another laughed. Been telling y'all loyalty in this game is just a word. But it wasn't just the fans turning. Family fractures were beginning to show. Vaughn's cousin took to a local podcast that night. We always had love for Darius. Always. But if what I heard in that courtroom was true, then he got an answer for it. You don't sit on knowledge like that and let your brother burn. The host leaned forward, eyes wide. So you believe it was his voice? The cousin nodded slowly. It was him. I'd know that voice anywhere. Back in court the next day, the atmosphere was electric. Security was doubled. People whispered about a new witness, someone the prosecution called the Ghost. Speculation ran wild. Who was it? An old affiliate? A forgotten friend? When the doors opened and a hooded figure stepped in, escorted by marshals, the room erupted in gasps. Darius glanced up for the first time all morning, his face draining of color. Whispers rippled through the benches. It's Reese Montana. He flipped. The Ghost removed his hood and took the stand. The betrayal was real. Reese's voice was calm, but every word landed like a bullet. I wasn't going to say nothing. But when I heard them say Vaughn acted alone, I couldn't let that slide. I was in the room. I saw the plans. Darius knew. He tried to keep his name clean, but he knew. The gallery shook. Darius's mother fainted, and marshals rushed to help her. Fans outside the building screamed in the cameras. He was the boss. He called the shots. The internet went into meltdown mode again. Clips of Reese on the stand spread instantly. Hashtags shifted. Hashtag Reese speaks hashtag betrayal of the century. One blogger screamed into his mic. This just blew the case wide open. Darius sat motionless, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the table. His lawyer rose. Objection, hearsay. But the judge allowed Reese to continue under witness protection protocol. The day after Duck was killed, Reese said, Darius called one of his security heads. He said, we clean, or we got leaks. They told him one dude was shaky. Darius said, handle it quiet. The courtroom went wild again. People shouted. The judge ordered silence, but order was gone. Darius closed his eyes. Just for a moment, the faintest flicker of defeat dot outside, the city was split. Some cried. Betrayal, others screamed setup. Twitter timelines turned into investigation boards, piecing together screenshots, lives, and old posts. One fan wrote, this ain't just rap beef no more, this is a movie. Another, if he really said handle it quiet, then the voice of the streets just became the voice of betrayal. And that's where the day ended. The Ghost still on the stand, the courtroom in chaos, and Darius staring straight ahead, silent, motionless. But with the weight of the world pressing down on him, the courtroom air was razor sharp, every breath, cutting like glass as Reese Montana leaned forward on the stand. His voice was steady, almost too calm, like a man who had been rehearsing this moment for years. Y'all keep saying Vaughn acted on his own, he said, eyes flicking toward the gallery. Nah, nothing ever moved without a green light. Darius knew. Darius always knew. The reaction was instant. People gasped. A murmur rolled through the crowd like thunder. Darius's mother, who had been fanning herself after nearly fainting, clutched her Bible tighter, whispering, Lord, please, not my baby. Darius's lawyer leapt to his feet. Your Honor, this is speculation, dangerous hearsay. But the judge lifted a hand. He is under protection. Let him speak. Continue, Mr. Montana. Reese's eyes locked on Darius. The night before Duck was killed, we were in a small apartment on the west side. Maps on the table, phones buzzing, everybody talking moves. Darius sat quiet for a long time. Then he leaned forward and said, "Make sure nothing comes back." "To me, play it clean." Gasps again. Darius flinched just barely, but the cameras caught it. Reporters scribbled furiously. A woman in the back row shouted, "Traitor!" at Reese, but Marshall silenced her. Darius's lawyer hissed in his ear, "Don't react, don't look at him." But Darius's jaw clenched tight. A twitch running across his cheek got the prosecution leaned in, savoring the moment. "Mr. Montana, are you saying the defendant gave explicit orders?" Reese shook his head slowly. He didn't have to. That's the thing about Darius. He never said do it. He just laid the pieces and let others move. But we all knew what it meant. If Darius said clean, it meant finish the job and erase the trail. The courtroom was chaos. Vaughn's sister sobbed openly, slamming her fist into the bench. Darius's cousin tried to lunge forward again, screaming "liar," but was dragged out by security, cursing at the top of his lungs. The judge hammered the gavel. "Order. This is a federal court, not a circus." But it was too late. Emotions were wildfire, and nobody could contain them. Outside, the streets lit up with theories. Twitter threads unraveled minute by minute. Reese Montana was with them in 2019. Check the old pictures. Another account posted grainy screenshots of Reese and Darius together at a party. Receipts don't lie. Instagram leads popped with fans debating. One said, "This is the ultimate betrayal. Reese flipped just to save himself." Another replied, "Nah, bro. You don't risk your life like this unless you really know something." Back inside, the prosecution wasn't done. "Mr. Montana, do you have any evidence beyond your word?" Reese leaned back, eyes narrowing. "You think I'd risk my neck on just words?" "Nah, I got tapes. More than one. And the feds got them too." The words hit like a bomb. Darius's lawyer sprang up, shouting, "Objection! This is outrageous," but the judge's gavel cut him down again. Overruled. If tapes exist, they will be examined. Darius's face drained of color. For the first time, he looked. Truly shaken, the jury whispered among themselves, their eyes darting nervously between Darius and Reese. A woman in the front row clutched her pearls, whispering he taped everything. Oh, God. The judge called another recess, but the energy refused to settle in the hallway. Reporters shoved microphones toward anyone leaving the chamber. One of Vaughn's uncles spoke briefly, his voice trembling. "We always pray for justice. Today we heard a piece of it. But it hurts." Tears glistened in his eyes as marshals escorted him away. Meanwhile, fans outside screamed at each other. Some chanted, "Free Darius," while others shouted, "He betrayed Vaughn." Fights almost broke out on the courthouse steps. The city was boiling, and everyone knew it. Later that evening, social media went nuclear again when a leak hit the blogs. A short clip, allegedly from one of Reese's tapes. The audio was grainy, but the words were chilling. A male voice said, "If he folds, we all fold. Keep him close. Don't let him talk to nobody." People replayed the clip 100 times, comparing voices, analyzing waveforms. "That's him," fans insisted. "You can't deny that tone." Others argued, "It's fake. A deep fake. The feds playing dirty. Darius can't move fast." His lawyer issued a statement to TMZ-style blogs. "Any alleged recordings are fabricated, spliced, or taken out of context. Mr. Darius has never ordered or condoned violence." But nobody was listening. The streets had made up their minds, and just when it seemed like the drama had peaked, another twist slammed the case sideways. The next morning, the prosecution announced a surprise witness, Asian Doll. The room erupted. The second her name was read, people gasped, phones buzzed, the crowd outside roared. Inside, Darius's eyes flickered for the first time in hours. His hands tightened in the fists under the table. Asian walked in wearing all black, sunglasses shading her eyes. She didn't look at Darius once. She sat down behind Vaughn's family, arms crossed, her presence alone like a thunderclap in the room. Reporters whispered, "Why is she here? What does she know?" Twitter melted down instantly. Her name trended worldwide in less than 10 minutes. The prosecution only fueled the fire. Ms. Dahl has submitted private communications, including audio files and messages, that will be entered into evidence. Darius's lawyer jumped up again. "This is theatrics, Your Honor. Irrelevant, prejudicial, and designed to inflame public opinion." The judge leaned forward. "Counselor, if she has evidence, it will be heard. Sit down." The gallery went wild. Whispers. She got receipts. She knows the real story. Vaughn's sister clasped Asian's hand, nodding fiercely. Darius looked away, jaw grinding so hard you could see the muscle twitch dot, and then the prosecution dropped the bomb. Miss Dahl is in possession of a voice note directly tying the defendant to premeditated knowledge of the incident. The courtroom. Gasp. Asian lowered her glasses just enough to look at Darius, her expression unreadable. The judge banged the gavel. "Order!" "This court will recess until tomorrow, at which point we will hear Ms. Dahl's testimony." The crowd groaned, desperate for more, but the day was done. Marshals escorted everyone out as chaos erupted again on the courthouse steps. That night, Instagram and Twitter were infernos. Asian posted a single tweet. "I told y'all it wasn't what it looked like." The tweet exploded, racking up hundreds of thousands of shares before she deleted it. But the screenshots lived on. Fans speculated endlessly. "She's about to bury him." Others insisted, "She's clout chasing, nothing more." Darius himself broke silence for the first time in weeks. A short video appeared on his close friend's Instagram story. Just a black screen with his voice, low and angry. "I tried to protect everybody. Y'all only see one side." Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Fans argued even harder. Some swore it was a confession. Others said it was proof he was being set up. And as dawn broke the next day, the courthouse swelled with crowds again. People lined up at 5 a.m. just to catch a glimpse of what would happen when Asian Dahl took the stand. Inside, Darius sat at the defense table, stone-faced, but his knuckles white as he clenched his fists. Vaughn's family sat stiff, eyes burning with grief and anger. Reese Montana was still under guard, watching quietly from the corner. And everyone waited for the moment that would either save Darius or bury him forever. The next morning, the courthouse was buzzing like a beehive on fire. Crowds lined the steps from 5 in the morning, chanting, screaming, holding up signs that said things like "Free Darius" and "Justice for Vaughn." Reporters elbowed each other for position, cameras flashing non-stop. Inside, the benches were so full the marshals had to turn people away. Even the jury looked restless, as if they knew they were about to witness something that would change everything. Asian Dahl walked in like she owned the room. Dressed in all black, her glasses low, she didn't glance once at Darius. Vaughn's family leaned forward, holding hands tight, some with tears already spilling down their cheeks. Darius sat stiff as stone, jaw clenched, his lawyer whispering urgently, "Don't look at her. Don't give them anything." The judge cleared her throat. "This court will now hear testimony from Asian Dahl." The room went silent. Nada. Cough, not a shuffle, just raw anticipation hanging like smoke. Asian adjusted her mic, leaned in, and spoke calmly. "For years I kept quiet. I was scared. I was loyal. But too many lies have been told. It's time for the truth." Gasps broke out instantly. Darius's mother shook her head furiously, whispering, No, don't do this." Vaughn's sister gripped Asian's hand, nodding through tears. The prosecution wasted no time. "Ms. Dahl, can you confirm that you submitted private communications between yourself, Vaughn, and the defendant?" She nodded. "Yes." Messages, voice notes, and one recording I never showed anyone until now. The courtroom gasped again. Darius's lawyer jumped up. "This is outrageous. These materials should have been disclosed earlier." The judge cut him down. Sit down, counselor. The evidence is admissible. The prosecution pressed play. A faint static filled the room, and then a male voice, low and deliberate. Keep it off socials. Don't tag me. Don't mention me. Handle it silent. The reaction was nuclear. People screamed, some crying, some shouting, "That's him." Darius shook his head violently, mouthing, "That's not me. That's not me." But the damage was done. Asian leaned back, arms crossed, as if to say she had carried this secret long enough. Outside, Twitter and Instagram erupted. Asian, just bury him alive. That's the smoking gun. Hashtags like #AsianSpeaks and #DurkExposed shot to the top trends worldwide. Bloggers went live, screaming into their cameras. One yelled, "This is bigger than East Coast, West Coast. This is betrayal at the highest level." Inside, Darius' lawyer tried desperately to recover. "Miss Dahl, isn't it true you profited off Vaughn's legacy? Isn't it true you've had disputes with the defendant before?" Asian snapped back, her voice sharp. "Disputes? I love Vaughn. I was there when nobody else was. This ain't about clout. This about truth." The gallery erupted in cheers and sobs, the judge slamming her gavel. Order, order. But nobody cared. Then came the second bomb. The prosecution revealed court documents showing Asian had turned over her entire cloud archive. Old texts, screenshots, voice notes. One stood out. Vaughn's voice telling her, "Darius told me fall back, but he knew what time it was. If I don't move, they move on me first." The room froze. Vaughn's mother burst into tears, wailing openly. Darius' face went pale. He muttered, "That's twisted. That's twisted." But the jury's eyes were burning holes through him. Reese Montana smirked slightly in the corner, as if everything he'd been saying had just been validated. The internet split in two again. Some said it proved Darius was guilty. Others claimed it showed he was actually trying to protect Vaughn. One fan posted, "He told him to fall back. That's proof he tried to save him." Another countered, "Nah, he let him crash. He let it happen." By afternoon, the prosecution pulled out one last card for the day. They called a surprise witness, Memo 600. The courtroom exploded. Darius actually blinked, his first sign of real emotion in days. Memo walked in slow, head high, eyes locked forward. Whispers flew. "He's gonna snitch. He's about to flip." Memo sat down, voice quiet but steady. "I'm not here to lie. I'm not here to save nobody. I just want my name cleared." He paused, eyes never meeting Darius's. But everybody knew what was coming. Vaughn made his choices. Yeah, but the green light came from above. Darius was the boss, and everybody knew it. The courtroom went berserk. People screamed, some shouting "traitor," others yelling "truth teller." Darius' cousin had to be restrained again, cursing Memo as he was dragged out. Darius closed his eyes, face twisted in pain, whispering, "Not him too." The judge finally adjourned, banging her gavel until silence fell. This court will resume tomorrow. Until then, this testimony stands. Marshals escorted Memo out under heavy guard while the gallery shouted, cried, and debated. And outside, fans clashed in the streets. "Memo's lying to save himself," one group shouted. Another yelled back, "No, Darius been pulling strings all along." Police had to form barricades just to keep the crowds from tearing into each other. And that night, as the city burned with rumors, Darius posted a short voice note on his private story. "I lost my brother. I tried to calm him down, but the streets don't forgive." Y'all don't see the whole picture. Fans went crazy. Was it a confession? A cry for help? Or another twist in an already impossible story? The next morning, the courthouse was tense like never before. Vaughn's family showed up with heavy security. Darius arrived looking hollow, eyes sunken, chains gone. And everyone knew. The storm was only getting worse. The courthouse felt like it was cracking under the weight of its own tension. Memo 600's testimony still echoed in the air when the judge announced yet another surprise witness. The murmurs began instantly, 1,000 whispers flooding the chamber. The name came slow, heavy, like a hammer hitting stone. THF Zoo. The room went wild. People shouted, gasped, even laughed in disbelief. Darius's head dropped for the first time. His lawyer grabbed his arm. Stay calm. Don't give them the satisfaction. But Darius's eyes were glassy, his lips moving silently, like he was talking to himself. THF Zoo entered with 2 marshals flanking him, his face blank, step steady. This wasn't some minor affiliate. This was blood. A man who'd stood beside Darius in trenches, at shows, in backroom meetings. To see him on the other side was a betrayal deeper than any courtroom could contain. As Zoo took the stand, the gallery leaned forward. You could hear a pin drop. Even Reese Montana turned, eyes narrowing as if to measure whether Zoo would stand by the code or break it entirely. Zoo's voice was calm, almost gentle, but every word was a dagger. I'm not here to lie. I'm not here to blame. But I won't carry weight. That's not mine. Everybody knew what was coming. Yeah, Vaughn made choices, but the green light, that came from above. Darius was that green light. The courtroom erupted. Shouts of no and liar clashed. Darius's cousin screamed again, this time lunging so hard he nearly broke free from security before being dragged out. Vaughn's mother collapsed against her daughter, sobbing uncontrollably. The judge's gavel slammed again and again. Order! I demand order! But control was gone. Darius sat frozen, his face a mask of pain. His lawyer whispered, this is all hearsay. Don't react. But Darius's hands trembled, his chest rising and falling fast. For the first time, he looked broken. The prosecution leaned closer. Mr. Zoo, are you saying the defendant approved the action against FBG Duck? Zoo nodded slowly. He never used plain words. He never had to. But the message was clear. Ain't nobody safe who tried to play boss from the other side. Gasps rippled. The phrase hit the gallery like a grenade. Jurors exchanged looks, some wide-eyed, some grim. Fans outside the courthouse screamed into cameras as the phrase went viral. Ain't nobody safe trended within minutes. Memes and fiery debates lighting up every corner of the internet. Darius single quotes S. lawyer stood, voice booming. Your Honor, this is revenge. This witness has a history of disputes with my client. He is saying whatever he must to save himself. But Zoo wasn't done. He leaned closer to the mic. You think I want this? You think I don't know what happens to people like me when they talk? But I won't let history put blood on me that I didn't spill. Darius was the one pulling the strings. The gallery gasped again. Darius finally looked up, his eyes locking with Zoo's. For a moment, everything was still. And then, in a voice barely audible, Darius muttered,